All right, this is the continuing saga of Lance Jochims. So if you saw my last video, or my second to last video, or whatever, you realize that in the garage, it was always 66 or 67 degrees, even though I had set the temperature to 54. And Lance, my contractor, some people say he's a moron. I don't want to hear that anymore. He's not a moron, so don't even go there. Well, you can do whatever you want. It is a free country. So when Lance emailed me, just to refresh your memory, and said, oh, he called the company who installed this, and they told him it's perfectly normal to have a 13-degree difference. You can set it at 54 degrees, and the garage will be 67, 13-degree difference. And you know, my spider sense said, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. The other two thermostats don't have that problem. And like I said, 2 minutes later after I read Lance's email, I called the company that did the install. And it took them about 30 seconds to go, we'll send a guy out tomorrow. So the guy has come and gone. And guess what? This will blow you away. I know that you're going to ask demand proof. Lance Jochims, my contractor, was dead wrong. When I told the technician that Lance had said, oh, it's normal, he sort of looked at me like, oh my God, are you on drugs? Should you be on drugs? Because he said, that's nowhere normal. Now, I'm not saying that Lance didn't call. Don't even go there. I'm offended. If you don't think Lance called and in fact was told by the company that sent out a technician who said it isn't normal that Lance was blowing smoke up my little butt, I think you're wrong. Actually, you decide whatever you want. So the bottom line is the technician came out, inspected everything, and said, hey, do you realize with this in-floor heat, this hydronic system, that the thermostat has a couple of settings. It can be off, it can be floor and air. So you could set the floor at 54 degrees and set the air temp at 66, or it can be just floor and it ignores the air temp. Or you can have air temp and it ignores the floor. So there's multiple settings for it. Well, I didn't know that. And apparently Lance didn't know that. But I digress. So the garage being an area with intense activity, of course, you want the floor being warm because that's what people who work in garages do. They get down on the floor and it's always cold. Ask anybody who works on cars and they'll say, oh God, I hate a cold garage. Air temp doesn't really matter. Well, in this case, I had the air temp set at 66 and I kept trying to change it. But since this thermostat has multiple variations, the floor temp minimum was 54, but it wouldn't let it drop down to 54 because the air temperature overrode the programming of the floor temperature. Well, once the guy explained it and showed me how to do all the work, I went, oh, that explains what's going on. Now, Lance doesn't know that, so don't tell him that he didn't know it because we don't want to hurt his feelings because we know he gets easily hurt, gets angry, and does all sorts of stupid stuff like leave the job site without telling anybody and leaves for 8 months, 9 months, and just doesn't come back. So bottom line, problem solved. We set the floor temp with the help of the technician to 60 degrees. Now, this is like an energy flywheel. When you heat up this much mass, this much concrete, it holds the heat like a hot rock that they used 100 years ago, where they would warm up the rocks or the water in a bottle and put it in a bed to keep that heat radiating into the bed because they didn't have much insulation 100 years ago. So we're going to predict it'll take about 2 days for the temperature to drop from 66 down to 60. Might take 3 days because it's really well insulated. Then the room temp will be 60. The floor temp will be 60. And I won't have to be running around here in t-shirts and shorts and sandals trying to work on a car. That's pretty rocking. So for people who have in-floor heat, you probably already know this. You can control whether the floor temperature runs the show, the air temperature runs the show, or if you want both of them or none of them. It is fairly complicated to program, but I figured it out with his help. He knew what he was doing. So the plan is, in a couple of days, this garage will be 60 degrees, and I'll get to see how comfortable or uncomfortable that is. I can wear my little banana suit, my overalls, my coveralls, and work on the cars and get all warm and have fun without sweating to death in the garage. Woo, sweating to death in the garage. So I am totally impressed with the HVAC company. I'm not impressed with Lance, but that's not a surprise. And I'm glad I called them after Lance assured me that this was perfectly normal. He had spoken to the company who came out today. There's no evidence he spoke to them, not that I know of. And they told him, oh, it's perfectly normal. And like I said, the technician sort of looked at me like, what do you mean? How can a 13-degree temperature difference be normal? Well, now we know why. So it's working great. Proof is in the pudding. We'll see how it does in the next couple of days. I fully accept that this will come down to 60 degrees. The air temp will come down to 60 degrees. And life will go on. It'll be awesome. So life is good. And the point of this is when someone tells you something you know to be bullshit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean bull crap. I didn't mean BS. But if your spider sense tells you that doesn't make sense, you have a couple of choices. You can ask the person, say, I don't understand. I can't do that with Lance. Lance is not the kind of guy who will ever allow someone to disagree with him. And if you ask him, he doesn't have an answer. And that's just Lance's style. And I've met a lot of people like that. They'll make a statement, this is the way it is, this is the way, and if you ask why, they get offended. They get pissed off. So it's not worth asking why. And my point is, it's not worth asking why with Lance. But I had a recourse. I called the people who actually installed it, and they sent out a guy 24 hours later who solved the problem. And that's just the way life is. Don't stop looking for answers. If things don't make sense, you don't understand, keep asking. Now, obviously, asking Lance more than once is a waste of time. I already emailed him and said, could he explain why he said what he said? Well, you can't explain something if you don't know the answer. So I never got a reply back from him. But life is good. Life just keeps getting better and better. And I've got a supercharger story tomorrow for the S55 Mercedes, which rocks. But I'm not going to do that now because I know a lot of the people that watch this channel, a very select group likes the car stuff and a bigger group likes the heating, ventilation, design, blah, blah, blah. So that's a good story. So I love you all, and I hope you're all doing well, and I appreciate you watching. And if, like I said, if you have comments, that's great. You could do me a favor. I've been told I need to ask this, so I'm going to ask it. Hit the like button or the dislike button or do whatever you want. But apparently, that's a good thing. If you say, oh, I like this. I mean, it takes all of a second to go beep, and you can put the thumbs up. That'd be great. So I love you all. Take care. Have fun. And it's really cold outside here in Wisconsin. I think it's like -4 degrees or 4 degrees Fahrenheit. But this place is so comfortable with hydronic in-floor heat. So love you all. Bye.